What is up, everyone? Rory plays for the Saloon Media Group channel here. I'm going to cover a couple things today. Mainly the fact that this week is probably going to be full of blogs. Exactly that. None of this was planned for this week. I have recently become full-time at my position at my job. And it does thankfully come with 5 days on, 2 days off, that whole scheme, which works perfectly for my needs. However, I'm not at the stage where I have learned how to utilize it to its full potential. The aim is to use those 2 days and fully just record as much as possible. Especially when it comes back to the kids going back to school, which is about another 6 weeks away. My days off include a Monday, so it helps completely because they're not here. And it'll be a day where I have my day where I can spend entirely with my kids. I can have my day where I can devote towards the channel. It works. Eventually I will learn how to do some work on the channel of a night time as well. The idea is to grow. So I need to personally grow so that I can learn to do this. Just quickly, if my speech sounds a bit off, I have a denture plate and it's currently not in. I'm recording this late at night prior to me going to bed because I have work tomorrow. And I've already taken the denture plate out for overnight clean. So I know my speech sounds a little bit different, and I can tell from the camera, you can see the gap. So basically what it was is, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't bother me anymore. As a child, when my parents were still together, my father was very adamant on being the one to take, well, he moved around a lot because of, he'd moved closer to his father, and we lived in a lot of caravan parks. So, he was a very controlling, dominating man. So he would, you had to go to the shower block at the same time. We weren't one of those people who had a caravan that had a shower in it. And if we did, it was for him only. So, you went for a shower at 4 o'clock every day. 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. And you went with him. You didn't have a choice. You didn't go with him, you did not enjoy your ears for that night because you would hear about it for the whole night. I don't remember a lot from those times. So I mean, if he was verbally abusive as well as physically abusive, I don't remember the physical abuse as much. He was very verbal though. Like you knew you fucked up. And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't a major fuck up. It was just a case of you didn't do things his way, so it was wrong. So a lot of the time then, he would brush my teeth aggressively, but they would get done. So I was, I never paid attention. So I was never taught how to. I mean, it's a simple thing, I know, but after, he split and he wasn't in the picture, I just didn't really pay much attention. I mean, I was always continuously bought toothbrushes and stuff like that. And I had the opportunity. Everything was there ready for me, and I just didn't do it. So, I would do it here and there kind of thing, and it was never drummed into my head that it's important. You need to do it day in, day out. It was continuously mentioned, but I was a kid that grew up that if you mention it more than 3 times a day, you're nagging. I'm not going to do it on principle. I'm not saying that that's a great answer. However, it is the answer that I grew up believing. And it had ingrained into me. Now it got to the stage where I was 16 years old, and I had an abscess on a tooth that it's no longer there. I had to go get checked out. The dentist turned around and said, "Look, we're going to stick you with a needle, numb it out, and we're going to rip that tooth out. We're going to sort your situation out." Not a problem, all good. It was a government pay job, so I wasn't paying a damn thing. he was getting paid no matter what just for seeing me. But I have a fear of needles. No piercings, tattoos. Look, for anyone who doesn't have piercings or tattoos, they are completely different things. Different kinds of needles. Tattoos are more scratch. They don't penetrate completely. Well, they penetrate, but they don't go in very far. Piercings go right through. Yep, done. But I mean, they're an in out. Physically, you can see both ends. Something about getting blood drawn or anything else like that, it for some reason terrifies me. I don't know why. It just does. So, I agreed to it at first. Then as soon as the dentist went down with the needle to go put into my gum, I can remember grabbing his wrist and saying, "Look, I apologize, but that needle is fucking huge, and I'm out. You're getting paid no matter what," kind of thing. So I left it. I let my tooth do what it was doing. I had lip piercing, and I had a ring in as the jewelry, so it would scratch against the tooth, and eventually took a chunk out to the side. So there was a noticeable difference between the center tooth, which is only there, the center tooth, and then the tooth in between. So over time, I found out a couple of years later, it had slowly rotted out inside, so it was very hollow inside. To the stage where it eventually took the top of the tooth out. The root was still in there, and eventually this caused issues as well, but we'll get to that in a second. What I didn't know though is it was rotting out the tooth immediately to the side, this second center tooth that is missing. Rotten that out. And I had conditions going on in the back as well, which I didn't know about at the time because I didn't go to a dentist and I had very poor hygiene. Not proud of it now, but I mean, this is who I was at the time. And this is how I dealt with things. I can remember being, up to that point, being very, very conscious because people would continuously tell me, your breath stinks. You have an odor to you. And they would say that it smelled like something was rotting continuously. So this was something I tried to conquer. I had nasal problems. What I didn't realize is that many, many years later, when I got it checked out finally, because I had issues with the tooth at the front, and there was also one at the back on the top as well, that it was just, they were exposed, they would give me hell. I currently have two exposed now that are starting up, so we'll see how things go. But it basically got to a stage where I was calling in sick to work because I couldn't physically go into work. I couldn't physically move. The pain was so excruciating that I didn't want to leave my house. I was just in that much pain, it was ridiculous. And eventually my partner pushed me, she's like, "Look, you need to sort this out. You're an adult, and on top of that, you're a father. You need to pull your finger out." So I did, shopped around, found a dentist that would work on a government base, pay. So went in, sorted that out, found out that I wasn't eligible for the government payment anymore, so I paid out of pocket, which was fine. I had the money for a consultation. Came to find out that I had 6 teeth, but basically everything on top there is an issue with, but I had 6 teeth that were an immediate problem. They had an infection that was connected, and the infection was on the bone. And what I didn't realize is that the nasal issues and the fact that I couldn't breathe through my nose, I had pinging in my ear, so I would get a very sharp stinging sensation in my ear that would feel like someone was ringing a bell and stabbing me at the same time. That was all connected. These are all something that the skull in general took care of, and these were every little bit little because of poor hygiene. So we went through that. I'm a little bitch and asked to be gassed out because I didn't want a needle. Turns out they don't fucking do that. So I had to get a needle in the back of my hand, which hurt like a motherfucker. Because they couldn't find one in the wrist. Couldn't find a blood vessel in the wrist to get into, so they had to go in the back of my hand. Sucked. Hated every minute of it. We're just going to go local anesthetic next time. And that was it. I remember they suck it in, they laid me down, I saw there's a TV on the ceiling, I made a wisecrack joke about it because that is my nature. If I can make a joke about something, it calms me down. bang, I'm gonna make that joke. In between all this, I'd seen various different doctors about getting a denture plate in, so that was by that point it was all sorted. Had the physical denture plate, which I'm still using to this day. This is about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. I should have had a permanent in by this point, but I've never seen the denture doctor since, which is a little bit of a letdown because I'm sure that that's part of the payment process that I paid for. Probably have to pay out of pocket again for it, but it is what it is. And I will explain why I've never gone back since in a bit. So that was it. Don't remember a damn thing. Vaguely remember being dragged to a car. It was explained to me actually the lift home. I vaguely remember being dragged to a car by my aunt and one of the nurses, and then another nurse who was on reception opening the car door. Next thing I remember, I'm at home. My partner is assisting me to walk to the door. She later described it as basically being like, right, come on, big fella, left foot, right foot, talking to a baby, basically. But it worked. It got me inside the house, it got me onto a couch, and it got me sitting down, probably damn near falling asleep because the anesthetic was still very fucking strong. And that was that. The very next day, I went into the dental doctor. Actually, no, wait. The very next day, I was back at work. Meant to take 2 days off. I ended up taking one. So yeah, the very next day, back at work. Got a whole lot better. Still in quite a bit of pain. I knew that I could only consume liquids. Basically like soups and that kind of stuff. I just drank water. I didn't fuss with coffee. Didn't go with soft drinks. I'm sure I was probably told not to, but I don't remember that far. But I remember I didn't touch them. The idea of soup was a letdown for me. So I just didn't eat. Kind of. I didn't have food. I had, water, like I said. Went back for a final check with the dental place. About 4 days later, they were happy with it. They were content. Did the same with the dental clinic. They were happy with it, and they said, "Look, come back in a few months' time. We'll look at taking the rest of your top out." Like I said, this has been 3-4 years. You can see I still have some existing. Especially from the front, I have more than my partner has because she's now going through a similar thing. But hers is all government funded. This takes a slow process because unfortunately, free isn't quick and on the spot. I had to pay. I paid for things, so I had to pay for for an anesthetic guy to be on site. So he was expensive. So I won't be doing that next time. I'll just go through straight up. Needle in the freaking head, and I will be conscious for everything. I don't want to be, but I'm gonna be. So it's not something I enjoy the idea of. I don't want to be conscious, but I don't want to pay a ton of money out of pocket just to not be out there. So it is what it is. I'll sort it at a later date. But yeah, on top of that, so 6 months go by. I've had a check out with the dental clinic. They're happy with everything. It was all free. Fine. Walk out the door. It came to getting phone calls from the dental clinic. Turning around and be like, "Hey, you ready to come in for your 6 months check?" Da, 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 da. And I'm like, all good. Just want to double check that that's all through what I paid. Then the kicker. No, it's not. This will be a $500 consultation. You basically rock up, a few measurements are taken to see how small the gums have gone, dimensions will be shrunk, and then your permanent dental plate will be made from those scans. Okay, I don't really have the $500 on me, plus I had started a new job. I don't have that time. Once I have the money, I will call you. Like I said, it's been 3 years ago. I've had the money on many occasions. But my point is, I spent 7 to 8 grand on this whole situation. Surely a consultation for something I paid for should have been that cost. That's the reason I've never gone back, honestly, and it's never affected me. I actually at one point dropped the denture plate, and I don't exactly know what it did, but it made it tighter, and it just fit me pretty well. I do have the unfortunate case where food will go under. It'll go onto the plate and get stuck in there, but thankfully, it's just take off, rinse that out of the water, put in, and then just have it every night, which admittedly I have not done every single night. There have been weeks where I've gone 2 to 3, 4 days, 2, 3, 4, maybe sometimes even 5, probably, who knows, where I've not cleansed, and it's just not a great thing because I am falling back into old habits. I now have 3 children, not 2, so I'm trying to set a better example. But I am under the situation of looking at getting more done. I'll be going under the same exact situation. Would it be a case of, right, everything will be paid by the same method, which gave me time to pay it off fortnightly over time, which worked out brilliant. But that's kind of where I'm sitting, is I want to get this done. But yeah, so that's why they're not in today. Long story short, and this has basically been made about my dentures, and that's fine. But there will be no more videos gameplay-wise this week. Just going to do more vlogs. If I do a gameplay, it's because I've thought, hey, I've got some time. I mean, it's possible. Look, I have 8 to 4:30 shifts for the next 3 days. If I find that I have time, I will do it. Hands down, not a problem. But we'll see. We'll see. But in the meantime, if somehow this is your thing and you enjoyed this video, talking about my dental work, like, subscribe, and notification bell. Comment down below. All that kind of thing. Yeah, look, different people, different things, I suppose. So, yeah, so that's why my mouth is the way it is. Why I sound different. Because I do know that the way my lip goes, it kind of dents into the indent. Same on the other side. But, yeah, there's not much you can do about it. It is what it is. Eventually, whole top will go, which means I'm hoping the shape of the face will change as well. Mainly because I want to get rid of a bit of the excess weight. And I am working on that. As of next year, there will be kind of a weight loss journey. So a lot of editing, a lot of blurring out of nipples, but I will be showing everything once a week going forward, just to try to, I suppose, keep a journal of it somewhat, say. But at the same time, I feel like everything I've been doing lately is because I've been sending it out. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get some positive feedback. I'll definitely get some negative feedback. It's going to happen. No changing that one, but the positive feedback is what I look forward to. And I'm pretty harsh on myself, so trust me. Whatever nasty comments you got coming, throw them out there. It's not going to affect me. It may irritate me if it's the same one over and over and over and over and over again. That, not going to phase. I get it. I've got more weight than most people. But that's another topic for another time. So, thank you to everyone that stuck by through this video. And hopefully that might let you know why I may occasionally sound a bit different. Bye, guys.